Why is the matching rate for international graduates lower than for American students? So I'll say American and Canadian students, keep in mind, so speaking from the Canadian medical student perspective, everything in Canadian medical schools is geared towards you matching at the end of it into a Canadian program. Absolutely everything. In the same way that everything here is geared towards you passing your state exams. The goals at the end are to build doctors that will succeed in the systems in which they're educated, and to be able to care for people. But medicine is the same wherever you are. Everybody has, all the same bones. Everybody gets the same, heart disease. Everybody, well, to a certain extent, gets the same infections, barring some geographical changes. But medicine is the same. But the way you can teach and the way you can educate people, of course, differs wildly. And there's not that one way is better than another, but the goals of the Canadian system are certainly to match people so that people can continue to train and we can continue to build a healthcare system that supports our country. It also means that when you're training in a different way, you have a different focus on your education. And some of the certain things that are really common, for example, in the licensing exams that I took for internal medicine and for infectious diseases, there are conditions that we know they're always going to want to test on that you never see, which as an infectious disease physician particularly I never see, for the internal medicine one, for example. And those are the types of things that, you do hear about them more frequently in the Canadian program. In the same way, that certain education will be provided here to say, this is how we prepare for this exam. This is how you'll best succeed at this course and in the care of these types of patients. Because it's just different ways of providing medical education. How difficult is it to be admitted to Canada straight after graduating from university? It's tough. So I don't want to sugarcoat things. I worked very, very hard to be able to match. And I recognize as well that I was very lucky. People always say luck favors the prepared, and I was. I was very, very well prepared, not only by school here, but also because in my free time, I met people in Canada. I did rotations in Canada. I learned the things that were not gaps here, but the things that are taught more commonly in Canadian systems. And it's those sorts of things, and being able to say to people, I grew up here. I understand these different concerns, and I understand how the healthcare system works here. And that's not because I grew up there. It's because I learned about it. So it's not, I don't think that I was in any way favored for the fact that I grew up in Toronto, because frankly, as you can probably note, anyone who doesn't live in Toronto hates anyone who lives in Toronto. It's kind of like here that everyone hates the people that live in Prague, because it's like a capital and everywhere else sort of thing. Toronto's not the capital, but it's the biggest city. And when you leave the city, no one roots for the same hockey team as you. Everyone thinks you're stuck up. And so I didn't really have that going for me. What I had going for me was that I worked in these places. And I worked in Western Canada and in Saskatchewan. And I understood how it worked because of that, not because of where I'm from. What resources do I recommend? Actually, so on the Medical Council of Canada, so MCC website, they actually publish a list of resources to use in terms of textbooks to use for studying for the exams themselves, question banks to use. The question banks are really, really helpful. So there were specific question banks for the MCC QE exams. For each of them, there's a specific question bank for each of them. Just like you would see with, I think it's USMLE World, where it's also, there are multiple choice exams. So it'll allow you not only to learn about the specific questions, but also about the format of the exam. So because it's all online, you'll know how that works. So, but all of the resources are online. Question banks are really, really helpful, or at least I found them very helpful in the way that I learned. and they do have different textbooks and that sort of thing that are on there as well. But keep in mind, as I've said, and we'll say again, medicine is the same everywhere. Your textbooks are a huge, lengthy compendium, or is a huge, lengthy compendium of everything in medicine. You can't read it all. You're focusing on different areas. You're trying to connect those dots and building a scaffold in which you're going to slot all of the things that you're learning for these exams. Exams are something I've never been a fan of, in part because, yes, you learn a lot about how much somebody understands about medicine or about whatever the topic is, but you also learn a lot about examsmanship. You have to learn how to take an exam, and those of you who are, in second, third year, you know that already. You've learned that part, and it is important. It is one of the difficulties of standardized exams, like the USMLEs and the MCCQE, etc. That's one of the things that's important, and that's why those question banks really do help a lot of people. We're getting close to the end here. I've got 2 more questions, and then again, if anyone else has any other questions, I'm more than happy to answer, and I'll hang around here for a little bit afterwards. What is the method used to study to get into the Canadian program? Okay, so I've just talked about that at length. Use question banks, and study textbooks, and then studying for your classes here. Like, you were in medical school, you were doing the things you need to do for these exams already. The last question that I had sent to me: what is the criteria or possibility to get in your specialization of choice and the estimated expense for it? Yeah, so that kind of ties together 2 of the things that I've been talking about. Certainly, there are some specialties that are a little bit more difficult to get into in Canada and the United States. That will be compounded, so it will be made even worse depending on where you go. The reality is, places in Canada and in the United States that are not as famous, that are not as well known, will have fewer applicants because people just don't know about them. It doesn't mean that the program is any worse, but it does mean that there are different strengths and different weaknesses of each of the programs. But it also means that for smaller programs, people will tend to apply across the entire country to every single program. So as somebody who's applying to ophthalmology programs, there are fewer spots in ophthalmology than there are in internal medicine. So in internal medicine, people tend to be a little bit more geographically focused in where they're applying. So they'll apply to all the programs within their home province, or all the programs in the Atlantic provinces, like Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, things like that. But in ophthalmology, they'll just apply absolutely everywhere. It is important to apply broadly, as your resources will allow, recognizing that that's expensive. It's expensive to apply for multiple programs. I think within CARMS, with the first initial fee, you get, 3 applicants, or 3 or 4, kind of as a package deal, and then every additional one is, an extra, I think at the time it was an extra $90, but it's probably double that now. So about an extra, that would be about, €50? Give or take? So probably about an extra €75 kind of per application nowadays. It's not for the faint of heart. It is expensive. Canada is expensive in general. Apologies. It is what it is. I don't think that that's a great thing. It really is a barrier for a lot of individuals. But as of yet, we haven't been able to change that. So I've talked a lot about Canada, about what I've done over the course of the past 10 years from when I left here, what I did while I was here. I think that it's just one example of how somebody can go through medical school, of how I did, and what I did afterwards. I think that the important takeaways that I've had really have been the solid education that I had here, but also the other opportunities that I had to do those extra things, to be able to meet those different people certainly through MIMSA, but through everything that I've done here, is to build those extra skills to match to a program that I wanted to do the job that I love to do, but recognizing that the clinical job that I do and that I train for is not the only thing that I do. There are a lot of opportunities in medicine, and I'll come back to that. Yes?
I just wanted to
So I started the process years before graduating. So I graduated 10 years ago. I took the MCCEE. So I graduated in 2013, and I took the MCCEE, I think, in 2010 or 2011. So, and it's not to say if you're closer to graduation than that it can't be started. You can, go for it. But it's a long process. So to study for the exam takes several months, right? And then to actually take the exam, et cetera, it's a long process, because then you also need to wait several months afterwards to get your marks and to find out whether you passed or failed, et cetera. And that can be frustrating, that can be very difficult, of course. But there are also expected timelines on both the MCC website and also on CARMS. And those really are things that you can use for some of those timelines for the USMLEs as well. Again, I mentioned that step 1 for the USMLE, it's very basic science. So doing that actually in your first few years here would be really helpful. The MCCEE, while I've said that it's kind of equivalent to step 1, it's not quite as basic as science. It's kind of a mix between step 1 and step 2. There's some basic science, but it is much more clinical. It's much more practical, really. And so doing that exam when you're in kind of 4th, 5th year would be a very reasonable time. It would fit with the studies. That would all be with a goal to match while you're in your last year, because residency programs start in July. So I finished my last state exam in, I want to say April or May, I think. I could look, I have a picture of it somewhere in here, but April or May, I think. I graduated, I finished my last state exam. I went back to Canada. I moved back to Toronto. Then I moved to Saskatchewan in early May, the beginning of May, to settle a little bit. And then I came back here for graduation at the very end of May. And then started at the end of June. And then I started residency on July 1st, 2nd.
Would you say that matching the Canadian program is easier or harder than the US program?
Would I say whether matching to a Canadian program is easier or hard than... I think comparing the United States and Canada, I think it's very similar. There are fewer spots in Canada, so just by volume, I think it would probably be easier in the United States. The United States is 10 times larger than Canada in every way except for geography. So there are 10 times the amount of spots. There's 10 times the number of medical students. There's 10 times the number of people that live in the United States. And so where there's that volume, there's some opportunity. And so matching in the Canadian program is really hard. It's hard, it requires a lot of directed focus, which I had, and I had a vested interest, but I think that it is not something that was just doable for me. We've had a number of graduates since then as well, and right around the time as me, who graduated and went to American programs. We had one in my year, as a friend of mine, who now lives and works in Philadelphia, and he did his residency in New York City. And another who graduated, I think, 2 years after me, who was Czech, actually, originally. Both of her parents are Czech, but she grew up in Arizona. And she actually now works at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. So it's a reminder don't belittle yourself in any way. This is a fantastic medical school and a fantastic program in an area of the world that is maybe not the top of everyone's mind. And it's somewhere that I grew up coming to my entire life. But just like Canada, people aren't thinking about Canada their first thought. That's okay. I think that's great, actually. But I think that there are a lot of really great strengths about being here. I think there are a lot of great strengths about being in Canada and working there. I don't want to be anywhere else. But it's just a reminder, and I know sometimes, as I've said, when we think about kind of the big places to go to, and you think about going to the United States or going to Harvard or something like that, or going to Johns Hopkins, which is also really amazing, that's within reach too. And there's nothing wrong with going to the United States. It's a very, very different system than what I practice in. But I think there's a lot of opportunities in both places. Any other questions before I kind of tie things up? As I said, I'll hang around here for just a little bit first. Okay. Well, thank you again for having me. I really enjoyed being able to talk to all of you. And it's been great to tour around. So if you have any questions, just come ask. If you want to connect with me, I guess I can put my things up at the beginning there again. But feel free to. Honestly, I'm really happy to help any way that I can.